Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure, it's my honor to be greeting you and bringing to you this message of emancipation, whereby I'm pointing you to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. That is why I want to speak to you concerning this principle of abundance and prosperity by quoting for you the scripture that says that God is not mocked. And that scripture is in Galatians chapter 6, I think anyway from say verses 7, you read it there where it says that you must not be deceived because God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that also shall he reap. Now, I want to use this principle of abundance and prosperity to show you a simple principle and a key whereby you should live your life each and every day and learn to create your reality consciously. Okay, now, all of humanity is governed by laws. And all of this universe is governed by certain laws. And you cannot check those laws. Now, it is very important for you to know exactly who is God. So if this is the very first time that you listen to me, I want to let you know that the basis of my teaching is that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. For the Bible is not literal, neither is it secular history, and that it was written symbolically. Also, I teach that the Bible have no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago or to any actual event that would have taken place on earth thousands of years ago. I teach that from the beginning to the ending of the Bible that it's all a great psychological drama and it all have to do with the human psyche. Therefore, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, it says that God is not man. And I teach that God in man is man's imagination. For the eternal body of man is the imagination. That is God himself. And there is no other God. Now, it says in the Bible that if you do not know the principle of sowing and reaping, that you are already deceived and you do not have God in you. That's what it's saying. And it is saying that to say that you haven't recognized the God in you. Now, it says there's a law of justice and God is just. So the law of justice work on the basis of sowing and reaping. So whatever you sow, that also you reap. So if you reap things of the flesh, if you sow things of the flesh, you would reap things that are corrupting. You would reap corruption because you're sowing from the flesh. That's why it is said also in, I think it's in St. John 3, that which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. So, my brother and my sisters, you can't check the laws of the universe. You can't check God, which is the creative self. The only one you can check is the self. The only one you can deceive is the self. So there's a creative power in man. And man can use that power to achieve his every desire. But he must understand the principle of how thoughts work in the mind. Because he must see his mind as a garden which is sowing a seed. So here the Bible says, as you sow in your garden, in your mind, that also shall you reap. So it's saying that thoughts become things. Imagination creates reality. That's what it's telling you right there. And then in St. John 1 and 3, it states that all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In other words, everything that was made was first imagined, and everything else that ever going to be made, it must first be imagined. And that is why the fruit is a reflection of the life that is in the seed. So if Jesus was a literal man 2,000 years ago and he did special miracles that no one else could do, and he now lives in you, you must do the same thing. So by your fruit you shall be known. So here we see that this principle of sowing and reaping is the same principle you use for abundance and prosperity. It's the abundance and prosperity principle it is teaching you. So some people only see this one way. Some people see this in terms of doing right and wrong, especially religious people. But they don't see that this is an abundance principle. This is a law. And this is the law of abundance and prosperity also. And it is the law of poverty and mediocrity also. So everything is based on this sowing and reaping. Even your existence. You have to depend on the trees and the rest of the surrounding for the oxygen. And then you give back the trees, the carbon dioxide. It's a giving and a receiving. Everything is based on the law of exchange. So God is not mocked. And many Christians misunderstand this scripture. And they fail to realize that we can just look at their fruit. Because you see, many of them believe that they can plant pumpkin and reap watermelon. We look at their life. We see, like, last night having a conversation with a preacher man. Okay, a very nice conversation right next to the church. Not too far from where I'm living here, about 3 minutes away. And I was talking to him, and when I show him that my body is the temple of God, according to Acts chapter 17 and so on, he told me that, the Bible says, forsake not the assembling of yourself, because when he agreed with me, I said, so why are you going to that building and calling it a church? So he said, the Bible says, not to forsake the assembling of yourself together and so on. So I said, so how recently the politician was telling you all to forsake the assembling of yourself and how much people could go to church? And then he was right next to the vehicle. I say, do you realize that you couldn't get the opportunity to bring in this vehicle in the name of the church unless you don't sign to certain things with the government? So you could get a duty-free concession and you don't have to pay certain taxes. Once you could use the name of the organization, the religious organization, and you agree with me? And so I say, so too, when you do the signing, you have to realize that you give rights to the politicians to actually run the going on or the carrying of your organization. Okay? But this one, I said, this one, nobody can have a thought for you. I said, people can only control this if you give them your mind. But once you control yourself and you control your mind, you have the house of God in control. No one can shut you down. I tell you how much people together, because everything exists inside of you. Okay? So, my brother and my sisters, I'm saying all of this to say to you that we cannot check the laws that governs us and the laws that governs everything. And not until religious people realize that there are laws that governs all of humanity and they can't check those laws, they realize that what we are teaching is not based on things you believe. It's based on what you put to work in your life and you prove it for yourself. So if I say imagination creates reality and that God in man is man's imagination, you have to put your imagination to work in your life and prove it for yourself. That imagination what is creating your reality and creating things in your life before you can even speak of it. You can't go and try to tell somebody about it and you just hear it from someone else and he never put it to work in your life. That would just be theory. But this thing is based on practical. You got to prove it by yourself, for yourself. So one is speaking of what he would have experienced and one is speaking about what he did never experienced. So basically religious people who think that God can be mocked. And we are saying to them, God is not mocked. Whatever you sow, where you reap. We know your fruits. We could see. We could see how divided you guys are. We could see how Church is controlled, so-called church. Our religion is run by politicians. We could see clearly politics, religion, and higher education is destroying the people by separating them, keeping them weak and conquered and controlled. So God is not mocked. You can't trick the subconscious mind to do anything different than what is impressed upon the subconscious mind. Whatever is impressed upon the subconscious mind, it will give you back. Whatever you sow in a woman's womb, it will bring back. Whatever you plant in Mother Earth, it will come back. Whatever you plant in this psychological field, in this garden, which is actually the Garden of Eden, we either reap Cain or Abel. Just the polar opposite of each other. Okay? So, my brother, my sisters, no one can escape the laws that governs all of us. So don't fool yourself. Don't be deceived. God is the very life inside of each and every one of us. And God is our imagination, the creator in everyone. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I can go on and on, but I want to stay right here. And I want to thank you very much. And I want to say, if you haven't subscribed already, I'm encouraged to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. Also, I'm encouraging you to follow me on Instagram at BlackMadGuru. I would like to encourage you to check out my course on Patreon. It's the Inner Sun Science and Technology, or the Inner Sun Engineering, to create your reality consciously. Because we are living in a time where they want to dim the sun, they want to black out the sun, and you need to know about the Inner Sun Science and Technology. And you need to practice that kind of technology in your life to live triumphantly by being in alignment and connected with the rest of nature. So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, I want to thank you very much. And I want to say peace, out.